Welcome back to this mini course on 3 topics on our memory. We're going to discuss in the previous video chunking. In this video we will talk about long-term memory, and in the next video we will talk about the focused and diffuse modes. I hope you will enjoy this video. When we think of long-term memory, we have the working memory, and we actually have the actual long-term memory. We will look at interleaving and spaced repetition, and we'll look shortly at visualizing concepts. We have 2 different kinds of memory in our brain. We have the working memory, and it's like a chalkboard. We write things on it, and sometimes we wipe it off if the chalkboard becomes full. So that is why we, for example, lose what we were talking about when we get disrupted. We also have long-term memory, and the long-term memory is more like a warehouse where we can put things. These things are the chunks that we talked about in the previous video. This also means that it is easier to retrieve information from your brain when in this warehouse you have ordered everything nicely. So, as we talked about the example, it is easier to find words and sentences, proverbs, when you also know the separate parts that make up these memories. So it's easier to retrieve information from a long-term memory if these chunks have been built up and if they have a context and they are not standalone information. How can we put information in our memory? We do that by interleaving or spaced repetition, and I show a very interesting graph from a Wired article that basically shows how you can put information in your brain. What you will have to do is you form the chunk I talked about and you put it there. And soon after that you should recall it, remember it, and then you maybe should wait a minute, recall it, 10 minutes, recall it, then maybe wait a day. And over time you can extend the period between recalling, and that is how you make sure every time that it's put in your brain and it gets sticked stronger and stronger in the fabric of your brain. One advice that I have is the Anki program with the link there. You can use that to actually incorporate this kind of spaced repetition in your learning. So I would say check that out. Last concept I want to talk about is the memory palace. This is about visualizing concepts in your brain. My advice is that you should look it up on the internet. Memory palace technique. What it basically entails is this. You visualize a place that you know well, like your house, and then you put the things you want to remember in your hub. So that could be, for example, if you want to remember a grocery list, you put the milk in the toilet, and you put the eggs in your bedroom, and maybe you find your vegetables that you want to buy in the living room. And when you actually visualize these things in these rooms, and then when you go to the supermarket and look for these things, then you can just walk through your room to your house, walk into the toilet and think, oh yeah, I have to remember to get the milk. And I also have to remember that I get, what was I having in the bedroom? I walk to the bedroom, I see my eggs, and then take this with me too. That is how you can remember by visualizing what you should get. My advice is, look it up on the internet if you actually want to use this. So when I wrap up this session, we looked at working memory and long-term memory, how they work together and what the different uses of them are. We looked at how we can put things from a working memory into our long-term memory. We do that by spaced repetition. And finally, if you want to remember something, it really helps if we visualize it. And one technique is the memory palace technique, which I said, look it up. Thank you for watching. I hope I will see you in the next video.